Smoke fills the room, black crust, ruined bread. Your hands shake as you pull it from the oven. This was supposed to feed 5 people tonight. Your youngest is already crying from hunger, pulling at your dress. Your husband will be home soon, tired, hungry, angry. And in ancient Rome, a burned loaf of bread is not just a mistake. It could be the difference between your family eating tonight or going to bed with empty stomachs. One small accident, one massive consequence. And tonight, there is no time left to fix it. This video takes you inside the life of an ordinary Roman housewife, a woman with no name in the history books. But her struggle was real, her fear was real, her love was real. Historians believe bread was the center of survival in ancient Rome, more valuable than almost anything else in a poor household. By the end of this video, you will understand just how much pressure rested on one woman's shoulders. Every single day, from sunrise to sunset, you will feel what it meant to fail, even for a moment in a world with no room for mistakes. And you will see just how far one woman would go to protect the people she loved. You might think this is just a story about baking. It is not. It was never just about the bread. It was about power, control, survival. Because in your home, bread was money. Bread was peace. Bread was your worth as a wife. Fail at the bread, and you failed at everything you were expected to be. And tonight, that worth is about to be tested in front of the people who matter most. Baking bread in ancient Rome was nothing like baking bread today. There were no timers, no thermometers, no second chances. You had to guess the heat of the oven by feel alone. You would hold your hand close to the clay walls, counting the seconds in your head, hoping your memory did not fail you this time. Too weak, and the bread stayed raw inside, heavy and useless, wasted grain sitting in your lap. Too strong, and it burned in minutes, turning hours of careful effort into black smoke and ruin. Imagine standing over that clay oven, sweat dripping down your neck, praying the fire behaves just this once. Your children are nearby, watching you, not understanding why your hands are shaking, why your voice sounds tight. One wrong guess and hours of work turned to ash in an instant. Tonight, the fire did not forgive you, and soon you will learn, neither will your family's hunger. Before you could even burn the bread, you had to earn the grain in the first place. Records show that grain was often rationed, traded, or bought with whatever coin a family could spare that week. Some women waited in long lines at public grain distributions, standing for hours under the hot sun, holding their place with sharp elbows and tired feet. Others ground wheat by hand, turning heavy stone wheels again and again, just to have flour for one single loaf of bread. Imagine your arms aching from grinding grain since sunrise, your shoulders burning, knowing this flour was all you had left until the next market day arrived. There was no extra bag hidden away in the corner, no backup plan waiting quietly for emergencies like this. Every grain mattered. Every mistake cost something real, something that could not simply be replaced tomorrow. And now, that grain sits ruined in the bottom of your oven, turned to ash in an instant, gone before it even fed a single mouth. But the story of your day is only getting harder from here. In many Roman households, a wife's main duty was to keep the home running smoothly, quietly, without complaint. That meant food on the table. Always. No excuses. No exceptions. If dinner failed, it was not seen as bad luck. It was not seen as an accident of fate. It was seen as a wife's failure, a mark against her name that neighbors would remember. Imagine hearing footsteps outside the door, knowing your husband is tired from work, his back aching, his stomach completely empty after a long day. You wipe your hands quickly, trying to hide the smell of smoke still hanging heavy in the air around you. Some husbands were kind and patient, quick to forgive a hard day and a burned loaf. But others saw a failed meal as a lack of respect, or worse, as a lack of love from the woman who was supposed to care for him. Tonight, you do not know which husband is about to walk through that door, and there is no way to prepare for either outcome now. If you're enjoying this journey through history, please like the video and subscribe. It helps us bring more forgotten stories like this to life. In Roman neighborhoods, homes were often built close together, sharing walls, sharing courtyards, sharing everything. Smells traveled easily through those thin walls, sounds traveled, and gossip traveled fastest of all. If your bread burned, your neighbors would likely know by morning, maybe even sooner. They would smell the smoke drifting through the shared courtyard before you even had the chance to open your own door. Imagine the shame of hearing someone whisper that you cannot even feed your own family properly. For many women, this was not just about hunger in the moment. It was about reputation. A woman's household skills reflected on her family's honor and on her husband's standing among his friends and neighbors. One burned loaf could become the talk of the street by the very next morning, spoken about over water jars and market stalls. and the pressure to hide your mistake grows heavier with every passing minute. But Roman women were not helpless, not even close. Over years of practice, many learned small tricks to save a bad situation before it became a disaster. Burned edges could be cut away quickly, hidden beneath a cloth, before anyone else noticed the damage. Ruined bread could be soaked in wine or broth to soften it and hide the bitter, smoky taste underneath. Sometimes, leftover scraps from days before were mixed in to stretch a small meal further, turning almost nothing into just enough for everyone at the table. Imagine quickly slicing away the black crust with trembling hands, praying no one notices, hoping tonight's dinner still looks whole and normal on the plate. Your hands move fast. Your mind moves even faster, already rehearsing what to say if someone dares to ask questions. Survival meant thinking fast, hiding mistakes, protecting your family from both hunger and shame at the exact same time. Tonight, you use every single trick you have ever learned. But even the best trick in the world cannot fix an empty grain jar. Sometimes, even the cleverest wife could not stretch what she simply did not have. Historians believe food shortages were common for poorer Roman families, especially during hard years or when grain prices rose suddenly without warning. On nights like these, mothers often ate last, or sometimes did not eat at all. Imagine quietly giving your own portion to your children, smiling so they don't notice you're still hungry, telling them softly that you already ate earlier. You watch them chew slowly, savoring every single bite, completely unaware of the quiet choice you just made for their sake. This was not rare. It was daily life for many women across the entire Roman world, from the cities to the countryside. Love disguised as an empty plate. And tonight, sitting in this smoky kitchen, you may have to make that same silent choice all over again. There was no one to call for help, no one to explain the constant pressure you carried every single day of your life. A Roman wife managed the fire, the food, the children, and the entire household, often with little rest and even less thanks from anyone around her. Imagine waking before sunrise, already thinking about tonight's meal before your feet even touched the cold floor. Every single day brought the same quiet question, whispered in the back of your mind, will there be enough, and will it be good enough this time? There was no room to be tired, no room to complain, even when your body begged you to rest. You simply carried it, day after day, week after week, because your family needed you to keep going. And somehow, every single time, you found a way to stand back up and start again. Even in the hardest moments, Roman women often leaned on each other for support. Neighbors sometimes shared a little flour, a little oil, or a warm word when a family was struggling the most. Records suggest that community bonds, especially between women, softened many of these daily hardships in quiet, unspoken ways. Imagine a neighbor knocking softly at your door, offering a small handful of flour without a single word of judgment. No question asked, no shame given. Just quiet understanding between two women who knew exactly how hard this life could be. These small acts of kindness rarely made it into the official records of history, but they were often the difference between a family going hungry and a family finding just enough to get through the night. Whatever happened tonight, morning would still come, whether you were ready for it or not. The oven would need to be lit again. The grain jar would need to be refilled, somehow, some way. There was no day off from this life. No pause button to press when things went wrong. Imagine rising the next morning, body sore, heart still heavy from the night before, and starting the exact same routine all over again. You sweep the ashes from the oven floor. You check what little flour remains. You begin again because there is simply no other choice. This quiet repetition, day after day, was its own kind of courage. Not the loud kind that gets remembered in stories, the quiet kind that simply keeps going. History rarely wrote about women like you. No monuments, no records, no names remembered by future generations. But every single day, women held their families together through moments just like this one over and over again. Imagine the quiet strength it took to fail, recover, and still show up the very next morning to try again. No applause, no credit. Just survival, repeated endlessly, year after year, generation after generation. That strength shaped families, it shaped communities, it shaped the very foundation of Rome itself. And somehow, history forgot to say thank you. The bread may have burned, but you did not. You found a way. You always found a way, no matter how impossible it seemed. Somewhere in ancient Rome, a woman stood over a ruined loaf, unsure how she would feed her family that night. And somehow she still found a way to feed them love, even when there wasn't enough bread to go around the table. Her name is lost to time, but her strength is not. It lives on in every mother who has ever gone without, so someone else could have a little more. It lives on in every quiet sacrifice that history never bothered to write down, every burned loaf, every empty plate, every quiet morning that began again anyway. None of it was ever wasted, even when it felt that way at the time. If this story touched you, please like this video and subscribe for more true stories of women's lives throughout history. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below. Thank you for watching.